Yes.
Hello, my name is Brad Benner. I'm a service technician here at Gap Power. I'm going to be running over a few things today with the thermodynamics flameless heater here. First off, I want to show you some of the things on the dash here. You have your key and your start button and your stop button. You have a temperature gauge that is here, and then your oil pressure gauge, and then your fuel gauge. Just a couple notes before you start up. You want to make sure your wheels are chocked, doesn't roll away on you, get away. Also, make sure the machine is fairly level with the jack in the front of the machine. Also, just make sure your fuel is in good shape. You got enough fuel to run throughout the day. It has a 200-gallon tank, so it should last you for a good while. So yeah, I'm going to start it up here and show you what will happen. To start off, at idle position, the lowest idle, it'll actually shut off due to it not generating enough voltage to keep the system running. It'll automatically shut itself off. It needs more than the lowest idle to start up. So I'm going to demonstrate that. Start up, we're going to turn on the key and then push the green start button. That's going to go through its going to do its diagnostics on the engine, make sure everything's alright, and then automatically start up when everything's ready to go. So there you see it at about 1,000 RPMs. We're not generating enough voltage to keep it running. Automatically shuts off. And throws an error code here. So what you want to do is you want to reset, turn the key off, and as soon as you start it right away, you want to turn up the RPMs to 1,500 RPMs, which is a good spot to warm up the engine. Probably want to warm it up for about 5 minutes at that RPM level to get everything ready to go. So I'm going to demonstrate that. For it to start here. As you can see, at 1,500 RPMs, the machine is not shut off and it'll warm itself up. Alright, we're going to go over a little bit here how to get your heater ready to heat the building you're heating with the temperature of your heat plate affecting the temperature of the air coming out the back. First off, you have a thermostat here that is showing what the temperature of your heat plate here at the back of the engine, judged by this thermostat here. Heat plate is where the oil that goes through the radiator is heated up and then in turn heats your air, heats your building. You want that heat plate to be right around 180 degrees. That seems to be the best operating temperature for that, give or take a little bit. Depending on the temperature of your outside air, it's going to take different amounts of throttle to get that heat plate to that temperature. But to start off, you'll want to turn your engine on full throttle. You want to start off, get everything warmed up, and then once it's warmed up, you'll turn your throttle all the way up and get your temperature up to 180 degrees before operating. Incidentally, the throttle here is controlled counterclockwise is to raise the throttle, you twist counterclockwise, and clockwise is to lower it. So that's how the throttle works. So I'm going to just run over here how to show you how to get it up to the temperature. Turn your key on, push your on button, wait a bit. so as you can see, I let the machine throttled up the whole way, and I waited just for about 5 minutes until your heat plate reaches the temperature of 180 degrees. I had it operating at full throttle, which is about 2,600 RPMs, and in our shop here, it took about 3 minutes to reach that point of 180 degrees on the heat plate. Once it reached that point, I then adjusted the throttle down to about 2,200, 2,300 RPMs, and the needle on the thermostat here leveled out at 180 degrees. It did not drop any lower, and it did not raise any further past. That's what you want to look for on the job when you're setting this up. You want to, in the morning when you're starting it up, try to get it so that needle is leveling out right at 180 degrees and it's going to stay there. This is also something you're going to need to adjust throughout the day as the temperature warms up and as it drops. If it's a 20-degree morning and you start it up and you level it right out at 180 degrees, as the day warms up, the air coming in here is going to be warmer. There it's going to heat up more, and it's going to raise that heat plate temperature up higher. So as the day warms, you're going to have to check on it and lower that temperature, lower the throttle so that your temperature lowers as well on your heat plate. As the day gets colder, you're also going to have to come and give it some more throttle so your heater then heats up the air to what you want it to be at 180 degrees there. Also, that brings up a point of this machine is equipped with auto shutdown. If your heat plate temperature reaches 250 degrees, this machine is going to automatically shut off. So, bringing that point up, if you would, start it up on a 20-degree morning, get it set right 180 degrees and walk away for the rest of the day. If the day would warm up to about 45 degrees outside, the air coming in here is now 45 degrees instead of 20 degrees. It's going to heat it up a lot more, heat the heat plate up a lot more, and it could easily reach that 250 degrees, and then the machine would shut off, and then you lose heat to your building. It basically would just need to cool down a little bit, and you'd have to restart everything and get everything, start out from zero again. So that's one of the things you really want to check, is to make sure throughout the day, just periodically check it, make sure your heat plate is staying at 180 degrees. That's the temperature of the heat plate. The temperature of the air coming out of the back of the machine is usually about 30 degrees less than that, so it would be usually about 150 degrees. It depends on your temperature outside, but it's usually going to be right around that 150 degrees going to your building. Alright, so when you're finished for the day and you want to be shutting this machine down, just only thing you really have to do is just turn the throttle down to a low RPM, probably about 1500 RPMs, and then just push the red stop button. That'll shut the engine off, and then turn your key off as well. And that's pretty much all you have to do. Also, the diesel tank has a 200-gallon tank. At full RPM, it's going to be burning almost 5 gallons an hour. So that's going to give you approximately 40 hours of run time on full throttle. Now, since you rarely are going to need full throttle to keep your heat plate at 180 degrees, you're probably going to get more time than 40 hours out of one tank of fuel. That's just something to remember when operating. It's a good thing to keep your tank, on the most part, on the fuller side. Alright, just going to run over here quick. Just a procedure to install your ducting here. You just want to open up your bottom latch and your top latch back here on the machine. It's usually easier to put the ducting on before you start, that way you're not having air blowing out, even though you can shut the vent. You want to make sure that on your ducting here that the flap of the ducting here is curled in and that the wire is all the way on the outside. So yeah, your collar wire here, you'll just want to slide that over top. Just work it on. Get about to the back of the latches, and then you just close the top and bottom latch. And that's really all you need to do. You're ready to go. You just stretch out your hose to your building, and it's ready to go. And one more thing to mention about this machine. As the days gets warmer and you might want to turn your engine down to a lower RPM, just one thing to know is it's not going to decrease your BTU if that heat plate is staying at 180 degrees. You're still going to get that 600,000 BTU out of your heater, even though you're at a lower throttle. You're still going to be getting that heat out of here that you need. The fan is still going to be running, still going to be pumping that air through there as long as your heat plate is staying to 180 degrees. So that's just one thing to remember. Alright, just a couple things to note here as far as maintenance goes on this machine. It's just a good idea to check the engine oil daily. Make sure that's where it needs to be on the dipstick. Engine oil right down here is the dipstick. You just want to pull that out. Take the oil off of it. Stick it in and pull it back out again. You're going to get your reading. As long as it's between the two dashes, you're good. Another thing to remember with the engine as far as keeping it serviced and maintained over on your job is to also keep track of service hours. Your oil filter here is going to have the last service on it. Last service done to this machine was at 3,074 hours. So this Kubota engine calls for service on the engine every 500 hours. So this unit should be serviced when it reaches 3,500 hours. So if you're on a longer job and you have it for a couple months and you're running a pretty long shifts, that's one thing you want to check every couple weeks, is making sure your hours on the machine are not passing 3,500 hours and going over the service interval on it. So to check hours on this machine, you just want to turn the key on the on position, and there's an arrow here right next to the display screen. You just want to click that, I think it's 3 times. Actually, it's only twice. And then you get your hour meter reading. Right now it's 3,075 hours. So we're good as far as service goes. But yeah, that's something that's great to check every week or two. It's nice for our company here to have that done. So yeah, if it does reach that point, just give the technicians a call at Gap Power and we'll come out and take care of servicing it for you.